Our next question comes from a viewer named Justin. And Justin says, another great video. It's true. Any word from the angels what will happen to Earth/civilization if humans see the destruction of our planet to the end?
Who will answer this question? There's someone speaking who is kind of like a data analyst person for the gods, and he's saying those are two entirely different things.
I hear you.
Civilization, it'll be done just like other civilizations that have risen and fallen in the past.
That's true.
And it depends on, he's talking about the divine plan for non-intervention calls for not intervening, allow them to just destroy themselves until they start being grateful and listening up. And the question is, how fast will that happen? How small will human population need to be before, and how miserable will human lifestyles need to be before humanity starts listening again? And so it's entirely up to us.
That's true.
Humans could stop being miserable to deal with right now and keep the miracles of the comforts with which we have been blessed.
That's true.
Or we can keep going like we're going, in which case we may need to be kicked back to the Stone Age. And they don't want to see that loss of civilization, but
that's true.
They're prepared for it to happen, and if it needs to go past the Stone Age into extinction, then so be it. Because they're really done with humanity the way it is right now. They're sick of selfish ingrates, absolutely revolted by the selfish ingrates, and they don't know what's going to happen to change that. And they're not going to intervene until humanity is not as unpleasant to deal with.
That's true.
So it's really up to us, humans. They're saying, it's up to you, humans.
That's
what they're saying. It's up to you, humans. It's up to us, humans. That's what they're saying.
That's true.
Just choose faster. And how we can show that we're not ungrateful is that we can advocate. If you're in a city, you're there to rebel, to lead civil disobedience. Those of us who are interested in God know that this is God's planet. It is not humanity's planet. And we need to stop pretending it's humanity's planet. And remember that it's God's planet and treat it with respect. And insist that others also treat it with respect. If we stand by silently while the bullies destroy God's planet, then we are siding with the bullies. And it's noted. That's what they're saying.
That's what they're saying.
And it's the Akashic Records custodians, the record keepers, the keepers of the karmic record.
Yeah.
That's who's saying it. It's like, look, friends, really, it's go time. Now. We're entering the tipping point. And they're saying from a number of different angles, we're entering the tipping point from the climate change crisis. We're entering the tipping point from the poisoning of the planet crisis, the soil destruction. We're entering the tipping point. The water, fresh water supplies that are not poisoned. We're entering the tipping point. We're here. It's happening, and the waves of displacement have begun. It's already begun. Like people saying, when's it going to start? It's like, hello, are you blind and deaf or just stupid? It's begun. It's happening.
True.
That's what they call them, immigration. It's refugees.
That's true.
From planetary destruction, crop failures, etc. It's begun. This is now a guardian angel who's speaking. They're not trying to be offensive, but they're trying to say it clearly. It's like softer phrasing has not seem to sink in. And so they're saying how humanity looks to them is either blind, deaf, or stupid, or some combination. That's how
true.
we look, and that's not good, and that they don't want to intervene on our behalf, and therefore we need to pull our heads out of wherever we have them wedged collectively and get on to civil disobedience, or move to the country and start to tend the planet yourself.
That's true.
Be the one to cut down the vines that are invasive. Be the one to tend the planet yourself.
Any word from the angels what will happen to Earth/civilization if humans see the destruction of our planet to the end?
Again, civilization is probably going to be gone unless humanity changes.
That's true.
And they're not sure that the word civilization ever applied to it anyway.
That's what they're saying.
We were supposed to get to the point that we are civilized. We humans, he's saying you were supposed to get to the point that you're civilized.
That's right.
But in order to become civilized, you have to stop using bullying as a basis for conflict resolution.
That's
so
true.
far, you're still going to bullying every time. So that's not civilization, that's something else. And to the planet, it depends on how fast humanity lets go of this. Like if humanity just absolutely refuses to let go of bullying, then humanity is going to be gone.
That's true.
Gone. And the rest of the planet will recover at its pace.
That's right.
But we have to consider the Sahara and Gobi and other big deserts, the Mojave, the big deserts that were created by similar destructive capacities of similar civilizations that have risen and fallen. And we'll see how much of Earth survives.
Does that answer the question?
Does that answer the question? Nobody else is saying anything?
No, that's true.
All right.
Okay. Our next question comes from a viewer named Austin. And Austin says, "Hello, I have a question for the angels. Why does it seem Lynn and Jamie get very little divine support in the form of financial abundance to fuel their mission for enacting change on Earth? What is creating this disconnect where the people with only selfish motivations are accumulating all the wealth, and people who genuinely wish to be in service to angels are left with scraps?" Whoa.
Let's answer the question. It's a guardian angel type.
Yeah, I see.
Who's saying you have to understand that it was the awareness already before choosing this life. There was awareness of how access to large sums of money can twist a mind and a heart.
Yes.
Twist a mind and harden a heart.
Yes.
And not wishing to have twisted minds and hard hearts, the lives in pre-birth planning chose to not have enormous pots of money so as to not become a twisted monster. And there have been many who have promised Spirit that they would be able to handle the large pots of money and not become twisted monsters, and that they will do what Spirit is wanting them to do. And a lot of there's something like 2,000 billionaires or something on the planet.
Something like that.
And they all promised Spirit that Spirit could count on them and that they would use those pots of money to accomplish the goals that need to be accomplished, to green the planet, to deal with the overpopulation situation, to turn it around.
That's true.
Everybody promised, all those souls promised, and instead they've become twisted monsters with hard hearts and twisted thinking. And so it's chicken and egg phenomenon, somebody's saying, chicken and egg phenomenon. And if you have a pot of money, there's a tendency to think I don't have enough.
Yeah.
And this healing practice has had multiple billionaires as clients.
That's true.
They would come and they would allocate $3 million to helping the planet out of their $50 billion.
That's
like,
right.
Oh, you're not fooling anybody, pal.
That's right.
And
to clarify, they weren't allocating those $3 million to these two's host lives or
definitely
this
not.
specific
They
project.
would have a project.
Yes.
And they would be wanting angelic input on their projects. What can
Yes.
I do to make it work? And the angelic input would come.
That's true.
But they were supposed to be putting all their chips in. And we've seen at most people giving 10%. Sorry. They were supposed to be giving 10%, and they were giving 1%.
That's
1%
right.
of their resources, and 1% of their resources is better than 0, but
That's true.
it's not much better.
No.
And that's the best we've seen, and the worst we've seen is sitting on the wrong side of the table. And that's what's
true.
usually going on, is
That's
they are the
true.
power elite, and the power elite is supposed to be using the money for good, not for evil. And
That's
they're using
true.
it for evil. And evil is anything that is destroying God's planet, because it is not humanity's planet.
That's true.
It's not. This is God's planet, and God is not happy with this. And so again, we circle around to the mission for these two host lives is to attempt to engage a divine miracle. We're in the, quote, miracle business.
That's right.
That we have healing practices, and we have a front row seat for a show of divine miracles.
Exactly.
And this one's been doing it for almost 30 years
That's
now.
true.
And we know that divine miracles are possible.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody has to have the grace for it.
That's true.
So we're attempting to enlist a divine miracle, and it's not enough for just us to be doing it, quite obviously, or it would have happened already.
That's true.
We need humanity to become less unpleasant to work with, because right now the gods don't want to help us, humans, and that's a problem. Does this answer the question? Can we have the question again?
Yes. Austin asks, why does it seem Lynn and Jamie get very little divine support?
Because they don't want to become twisted monsters.
Exactly.
We get a lot of divine support, friends. We don't get a lot of
That's true.
financial support.
That's
Get
true.
a lot of divine support, not a lot of financial support. Those are two different things. Go ahead.
That's true. What is creating this disconnect where the people with only selfish motivations are accumulating all the wealth?
The wealth could be poisoning them.
Yeah, it's true. That's what they're saying. And people who genuinely wish to be in service to angels are left with scraps.
Maybe they're not being poisoned by wealth.
That's true.
And so if you have a pot of money, to consider giving half of it directly to service to spirit. And I don't know how to go about that. The Rainforest Alliance,
That's
any
right.
organization that goes directly to purchasing the
That's
land.
right.
Rainforest Alliance, we believe, does it, and right now it's go time in the rainforest
That's
because
true.
they're being just ripped apart, and so much of the carbon can be stored in a rainforest
That's
if we
true.
don't rip it apart, but instead they're converting it to grassland, and there's very little carbon stored in grassland. Like, true, the grass is made of carbon, but there's just a little bit of it, and the soil degrades, and so there's carbon loss. We need the forest to hold the carbon.
That's true.
Really, 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 really need the forest to hold the carbon. So give it to the Rainforest Alliance and give 50% of it. Just
That's
try
true.
50%. I'll keep half of what God gave me to accomplish this, and probably you should keep just a little bit. And
Probably,
you know what?
actually, yeah.
You don't need much. You don't need as much
No.
as you think. We
That's
can
true.
actually live on very little. Just stop buying things which we're not supposed to be doing anyway. Stop
That's
traveling
true.
frivolously, which we're not supposed to be doing anyway. Live as if we truly respected all other life, because that's what we're supposed to be doing. And then it doesn't cost much. Does that answer the question? Friends, this is God's planet. We really want to remind whoever's speaking up there from the angels and godly presences affiliated with planet Earth, really wants to remind anybody who can see this is God's planet, not humanity's planet. Humanity is destroying their societies by their hands and by their choices, and taking other life with it by their hands and by their choices, and being ungrateful and selfish and greedy and grasping and dodging responsibility.
That's true.
and lying and cheating and stealing and bullying, and those were there at the start, but that's what we're supposed to be rising above. And if we stand by while others lie, cheat, steal, and bully and do nothing to intervene, then we are accomplices in the lying, cheating, stealing, and bullying.
That's true.
By not intervening, we're joining the liar in the lie, we're joining the cheater in the cheat, we're joining the thief in the thievery, we're joining the bully in the bullying. It's important for us to stand up on behalf of the dispossessed, the smaller, the helpless.
That's true.
And stop the bullying, stop the lying, say, no, that's not right. This is wrong, this must change. I'm going to do something.